Stock trading for beginners. What is it? And how do beginners in stock trading get themselves off on a good footing to become successful? That's the subject of this video. Hi, and welcome to this lesson on stock trading for beginners. Now, whenever I'm asked about stock trading by anybody that's never really been in the market, I tell them the first thing that they need to start with is really themselves. What do they believe about the markets, and what do they believe about their own abilities to be able to make money in the market? You can look at two different traders that are really successful in the market, let's say like a Warren Buffett or like a George Soros. And they make billions of dollars. They make tons of money hand over fist, but they have completely different styles. They have different completely beliefs and emotional makeup systems about what they believe about the market. If you were to swap their trading styles, it would be incredibly, they would fail at a great degree. But because they have taken the time to study what they believe about their own systems, their ability to get the results, and how they interpret price action or the events of the market, they steadily make gains over time. So the first step that you need to do when you're thinking about making money in the market is really to start with yourself and do a really good inventory. The second thing that you need to think about is what is the outcome that you want to get from the market. I mean, everybody says, well, I want to make a lot of money. Some people want to make more income. That's what everybody seems to initially believe. But over time, do you want to get some kind of, financial independence? Do you want to end up managing other people's money? Do you want to have, long, consistent gains, or do you like to make spectacular gains and can weather the drawdowns or the losses that come with it? Once you know your outcome, it makes it a little bit easier for you to be flexible and adjust and come up with a plan to be able to achieve it. Now, in addition, we've kind of touched upon this when we talked about starting with yourself, but you want to understand what you believe about the market. If the market is crashing all around you, there's two things that you can experience emotionally. One, you're incredibly depressed because everything is falling apart and you're forced to get out of a position. The other side of it is that you're incredibly happy. You're overjoyed that everything's going and crashing because now you can go in, you can scoop up bargains. Now, what I just described is basically the two different kinds of mindsets from the two traders we mentioned previously, which is George Soros and Warren Buffett. George Soros may get freaked out and get out of all of his positions and maybe even reverse it and, trade with the market going down. He may short everything. But Warren Buffett actually gets giddy. He gets excited at it because he knows he can go in and scoop up really good companies at cheap prices and buy their stock on the cheap. Now, you want to know thyself. We've talked a little bit about beliefs, but let's talk some more about emotions real quick. Most people that get into the market, they absolutely do the wrong thing at the wrong time. When the market is crashing, they tend to hang on to their position. And when the market's going higher, they tend to overstay their visit. So instead of selling when they should or buying when they should, they do the complete opposite. They flip the script. If you're a value-added trader where you're buying stocks on the cheap, it doesn't make sense for you to sit there and try and buy as a stock is going up. It's usually wildly overvalued at that time. Where everybody else gets excited and starts jumping in to buy a stock, you're starting to look about when's a good time to get out. And when the market is crashing, everybody seems to try to hang on or ride the market out when they should be selling, or they get freaked out and don't buy anything in the market at all. But, you buy value, so when the stock hits like a really, low price where there's a strong measure of safety built into the price, that's when you scoop in, you buy up bargains. Most people do the opposite. And that's one example. Again, it depends on your trading style. But again, once you know yourself and your emotions, then it makes it easier for you to make the adjustment and make the change in order to be able to capitalize on your system so that you can make more money and you make more profit. Now, in order to be able to achieve success, you want to model success. It's the fastest way to get to the outcome that you want. When you model success, once you've done the internal work and you've done the external work, meaning that you've spent some time discovering your own beliefs and your own emotional makeup, but you've also kind of understood the beliefs that you feel about the market, something that's more congruent with your personality. then you want to look for somebody who's achieving those results and study with them if you can, or better yet, model their behavior. A lot of people right now talk about Warren Buffett. I'm using him as an example because he's so commonly known in the United States because he's a phenomenal investor and businessman, and he is associated with buying stocks that are valued, when everybody's scared and panicked, that's when he goes in and he buys up billions and billions of dollars of securities on the cheap and ends up making huge returns, and has done it consistently over decades. Well, lots of hedge fund managers work to model his behavior and his thought processes so they can achieve the results. And the ones that are better able to do that are the most successful at using his methods. Now, you want to strive for understanding the market. Next to understanding yourself, you want to also be able to understand how the market responds in relation to the system, and so that you can better adapt. When the market we've used the example of declining. When the market's declining, it's usually because there is no faith. The underlying fundamentals of the market have changed. Something has shifted, and your ability to be able to make those changes with the market your success is going to depend on that a great deal. So at the same time, you also want to understand if the markets are trending, what underlies that, and how to be able to take advantage of it. And again, your system is going to help define a lot of these rules and parameters for you, or at least they should. Finally, you also understand that trading is a process, and so is mastery. It's like laying bricks. You're not expected to know everything out of the gate. Too many people get in a hurry and they rush their actions, and they end up making really hasty decisions because they want to make that money. They want that greater income, or they want to fire their boss. And all of those are worthy goals. But, give yourself the gift of time so that, you learn how to basically put one foot in front of the other. You start crawling before you walk, and you walk before you run, and you run before you bound and leap. That's just nature's law. So don't try to skip from crawling to bounding and leaping. You're only going to set yourself back and get frustrated. So, again, I use the analogy, it is like laying bricks. Just lay one brick at a time, master one step over a period of time, and then pretty soon you're an expert and you're on your way to getting the outcome that you want. So this is the summary of it. These rules, they seem kind of basic and they seem a little trite, but I can't tell you how many people I run across that really don't take the time to really fully understand the principles behind this lesson. So if you're a beginner, go back, listen to this video several times. You're going to find that these rules are going to come up over and over again, and it makes it really, it's a good practice to go back and revisit this every month or 3 months, or at least every year, so that it keeps you focused and it keeps you on the path to success. Hey, thanks for watching my video. If you like what you saw and you got something out of it, please do me a favor and give me a thumbs up below. And if you have questions or comments, then please leave them below. Now go and click the red Click Here icon in the lower right-hand side of the screen in front of you and subscribe. Once you subscribe, you'll get all my notifications of new videos containing trading tips, market insights, and techniques to help you achieve greater success in the market and become a better trader. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.